could be calling me at this time? I think everyone knows Empire State of Sports is live. Let's pick this up, see who this is. Joe Shine? You need a kicker? I think my range tops out at about 22 yards and a bacon, egg, and cheese. But for the Giants, I'll lace them up. Well, guys, welcome into Empire State of Sports on WIUR. I am Landon Popovic, and apparently at this point, even I can be the kicker for the New York Giants. New York football, ladies and gentlemen. One side of the city has a little bit of hope. The other one still looking for the end zone. Let's get into it today. Here's what's on deck today. The Giants blow a 19-point lead, but flash some life behind rookie sensation Jackson Dart. We'll break down what went wrong defensively and what went right for the offense. Then we turn to the other side of New York. Despair, the Jets have now gone 10 quarters without scoring a touchdown and are starting to flirt with historical infamy, plus the rest of the show. Knicks trade chatter, Rangers finally scoring a goal at MSG, but still not holding up to snuff, and whether Brian Cashman's loyalty is brilliance or just signs of being stubborn. But first, let's start where it all fell apart. The Giants collapse. For 2 quarters Sunday, the Giants actually looked like a football team again. Had that positivity that I had last week for up until the fourth quarter. The fourth quarter is where things started to fall apart. I just realized I only had one headphone on. They were really balanced. They played aggressive on that offense. Jackson Dart looked really good, hitting on 12 of his first 15 passes. He had 40 rushing yards before halftime. A dual threat is Jackson Dart. The defense, played phenomenal in the first half, fell apart behind Shane Bowen in the second. They had their largest first half lead since week 10 of 2021. So things are looking up for the Giants, despite everything that went wrong on Sunday for them. Offensively, the numbers weren't awful. But then it evaporated, in the span of 8 drives. The Giants gave up 27 unanswered points. Turnovers at the end. Jackson Dart had an interception. Going to touch on that a little bit later. And this, what could have been a statement win, is now a what-if situation in New York. This is going to be a loss that stings for a while for Giants fans. The Giants could have been going into this game Sunday against Philly, fighting for the division, but now they're in a little bit of a bad spot going into that game. Winning that game would, I think, put things back on track a little bit. But had the Giants beat the Broncos last Sunday, like what should have happened for them, things would have looked a lot differently. Giants fans would still have hope of winning the NFC East. Jackson Dart, still the Rookie of the Year favorite, would be even more so, beating the number 1 defense. That being said, scoring 31 points versus the number 1 defense after scoring over 30 points against the Eagles defense and that lethal Chargers defense as well. Jackson Dart doing a great job at carving up these great defenses. Might be a lack of game tape. We'll see as that unfolds. Offensively, I mentioned, they ranked 26th in the NFL in scoring at 20 points a game. They have 121 total points this year. Not anything to brag about. An average of 339 yards per game. A modest uptick from last year. Not anything crazy. They've improved from 30th to 20th in rushing efficiency at 4.1 yards per carry and 6.9 yards per attempt. That could definitely be credited to both Jackson Dart at quarterback and especially Cam Scatteraboo at running back, who has really propelled himself into maybe even the top 10 conversation for running backs in the league. Defensively, they've allowed 177 points this year, about 25 per game, and have given up touchdowns on 69% of opponent red zone trips. And that's what's causing them to lose these games. That red zone defense has not only been an issue in the second half, like most of the defense has, that's also been an issue in the first half. So now let's take a listen to what Brian Daboll had to say after Sunday's loss.
A lot of guys that are, that are hurting right now, some physically, but they gave everything they had, and we came up short, and that was a tough one. Make no mistake about it. But you got to get back on your horse and get ready to play a very talented team that we just played, 2 weeks ago.
Mentality-wise, just how this game was almost eerily similar in terms of just not being able to just execute down the stretch the way you guys wanted to.
Yeah, I would just say this, Evan. It's not about one play, one player. Offensive side, the defensive side, the kicking game, and we ended up making those plays.
So that's Brian Daboll on Sunday's loss. With that disappointment Sunday, the question now goes back to, has the outlook changed for the Giants in 2025? Obviously, last week I was really energetic about the Giants. I still am very hopeful for the future of the New York Giants. I think they have the guys now. But those answers from Brian Daboll, I think, tell a lot in regards to the leadership on this team. One thing I will add, there is no scenario where the Giants should be firing Daboll midseason. I think that would really mess up the groove that Jackson Dart has had this year. The Giants, I mentioned they ranked 26th in scoring 20.2 points per game, 16th since Jackson Dart has taken over, averaging above 25 points a game. They've scored on 31% of their drives. Nothing to brag about. But when you pair that with the defense that's allowing points on 41% of the drives, that's obviously 31% compared to 41. That's a recipe for losing games. So that needs to change. I think I need to see a lot more accountability from Brian Daboll. They need to improve on their offensive creativity a little bit, especially in the second half. We see them always come out with great energy at the beginning of games, outscoring their opponents by such a great amount in the first half, but then that falling off in the second half has led me to question if there's any sort of offensive adjustment that is happening at halftime. And right now, I don't see any. So that creativity really has to go up for the Giants on the offensive side of the ball. Dart's poise has been a breath of fresh air for me compared to Daniel Jones's rookie year. In specific, I think he has a lot more energy for this Giants team, a much better leader. And when you pair that with Scattaboo, the vibes are up for the Giants. So that's obviously a positive. But these conservative halftime shifts are a reoccurring issue that really needs to change. Like that 19-0 lead had me feeling all sorts of different ways for the Giants. It really felt like I was almost hallucinating against like, you have to take into account the Giants are playing the number one defense in the league, and they're up 19-0. Like, even with the Giants losing that game, that's nothing to sleep on. And I'm going to be really upset if I keep seeing this rhetoric in the media that most of this loss falls on Jackson Dart, because that's not even close to the case. The coaching adjustments just were not there. Daboll showed no signs of accountability. And not only the tape I showed from Monday, but even in the post game conference Sunday. That leads me to the topic that every Giants fan is placing the blame on different people, whether it's the kicker. I got a call from Joe Shane at the top of the hour asking me to come in and kick for them. Obviously, gonna lace up the cleats. He got to know I top out at 22 yards, so he's got to know that. Maybe 20. But moving on to the defensive side of the ball, touched on the offensive side a lot with Dart. After the game, much of the blame, fell on new defensive coordinator Shane Bowen. My boy Wink Martindale would never do this to me. That's for sure. And frankly, rightfully so. Up 19-0, he called the same drop 8 look. I wanted to play a clip of Brian Burns after the game, but there were so many expletives in that clip. Not good for air, but the gist of it was, man, why are we running a drop 8 defense again with 10 seconds left? Like, there is no world where you're calling a drop 8 defense. You're up 19-0, called the same drop 8 play, which caused the loss in week 2 against Dallas. Once again, it left a QB with poise and Bo Nix with 4 seconds to throw, and you left the middle of the field wide open with that drop 8 defense. It was a recipe for disaster. When you have guys like Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, these are guys that feast on pressures. They do not feast on being caged in. They need to be let loose. They need to be able to blitz, but instead they dropped 8 back. Really bad to see from Shane Bowen there. The defense, I mentioned they thrive when they attack, but instead of keeping the pressure, Bowen dropped his safeties deep. And the pass rush went quiet in that second half. Over the final 30 minutes, the Giants generated 1 quarterback pressure. So in the second half, when you have Brian Burns, Kayvon Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence, Abdul Carter, you generate 1 pressure, that is enough for me to say you're done. And when I hear nothing from Brian Daboll pointing to the fact that what Shane Bowen did on Sunday was unacceptable, that's an unacceptable response to me as a fan. You can't preach this aggression on defense. Yes, I'm pointing at you again, Shane Bowen, and then turtle in the second half, retreat into your shell. That's not what this defense is built for. This defense is built to blitz, and they need to put more pressure on the quarterback. That's where this defense will succeed, not in zone, not dropping 8 back and man coverage, but blitzing and getting those pressures. That's where you'll see the Giants defense succeed. And that's where we see them succeed in first halves of games, but then fall off because those pressures are non-existent. So the question is it time for the Giants to move on from Shane Bowen? My answer, you already know, is yes. The Giants pressure rate drops from 31. So I'm going to tell you a little bit why. The Giants pressure rate drops from 31% in first halves to 21% in second halves. There's no reason that should exist when the defense is the same defense going out in the first and second halves. The play calling should remain the same. It shouldn't change just because you're up 19-0. Opposing QB's passer ratings in the second half is above league average at 112.4. Still not anything amazing, but it's enough to put points on the board, as we saw with Bo Nix. Missed tackle rate, something that really shouldn't even exist. You shouldn't be missing your tackle if you're in the league. They have one at 11.8%. That's a little too high for my liking. Third down defense has gotten tremendously better this year at 44%. I'd still like to see that number drop below 30%. Because when you get bit on those third down plays and you allow the quarterback to get another drop to get another 4 downs, it's going to result in more opportunities for your opponent. Saw it in the second half. Their down percentage above 60% success rate for the offense, under 40% for the defense was really bad, led to that collapse that we saw on Sunday against the Broncos. I mentioned Brian Burns. He stated, we have to finish that. The body language on the sideline around Shane Bowen. I see. I saw a multitude of clips, and I wish I could show the visuals because I think that might even be better than the audio I had of Burns. They don't converse with Shane Bowen. They avoid him at all costs. But he's the one calling the plays. So Shane Bowen, yeah, he's there on the sidelines, but I don't see him speaking up. I don't see him being the difference maker. So when you don't have a number 2 coach behind Brian Daboll, that could be your second in command, like Wink Martindale was. And I mentioned him a lot because when he left, the Giants did that themselves by firing some of his assistants. I wish, if there's one thing that happened in the past few years that I'd love to take back for the Giants, it's the departure of Wink Martindale. That should have never happened. The Giants made a series of foolish decisions that led to that, and now Wink Martindale is no longer in the NFL. Very disappointing for me. That's Bowen's third blown lead of 14 plus points this year. Saw it happen against the Cowboys in week 2. Saw it happen against the Saints 2 weeks ago. Saw it happen this past Sunday against Denver. There is no acceptable reason that a team should be blowing 3 14-point leads in their first 7 games. It is time for the Giants to move on from Shane Bowen. Now, across town, the New York Jets. New York Jets. It's uglier somehow. The Jets are the NFL's only winless team at 0-7 still. They haven't scored a touchdown in now up to 10 quarters. The last trip to the end zone was Breece Hall back on September 29th. It will be a month this Sunday since the Jets have scored a touchdown. For God's sake, please, Jets, just find the end zone for the sake of the Jets fan base. The stats are brutal. They rank 30th in points, 18.4 per game, 29th in total yards at 307.8, and dead last in red zone efficiency at 28.6%. Their 33% third down conversion rate means every drive feels like a root canal for them. Justin Fields, before getting benched this past Sunday, has taken 23 sacks. I don't know if it has to do with the offensive line or him holding on to the ball too long. That's third most in the league. Has 9 interceptions to just 3 touchdowns. His 63.9 passer rating is 31st among qualified quarterbacks. You cannot sustain this offense. I don't care how long Aaron Glenn tries, but he made a decision to bench Justin Fields, whether I think that's right or wrong, whether I think it's Glenn causing a lot of the issues or Fields. I think that's still up for debate, but he ended up going to Tyrod. Here's what Woody Johnson had to say about the Jets this season.
And what do you say to him?
I say keep the faith, man.
And do you really believe in it?
I do.
You do. I'm
not a liar, You may think I am, but I can't say something I don't believe.
In terms of the offense and the quarterback play here, but knowing that it's such a problem.
The offense is just not clicking, and you can't run the ball if you can't pass the ball. I mean, that's football 101.
So there's Woody Johnson on the Jets this season. I don't like whenever Woody Johnson speaks, period. I didn't like him placing a lot of the blame on anyone but himself when a lot of the decisions that happened this past offseason went through him, and he acted like he had nothing to do with them. So is this growing pains, or has this team crossed into systemic failure? Let's take a look. Jets offense, estimated points allowed, minus 0.25, last in the NFL. Fields, 59.8% completion, 1,047 yards, 3 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, taken 23 sacks across 7 games. The Jets, minus 8 turnover differential is 30th out of 32. Defensive ranks, 7th in pressure rate, 28%, 9th in yards allowed per play at 5. So Johnson spoke on it earlier in that interview too, that he really likes what he's seeing from this defense. I think with even average quarterback play, this team could be winning some games. But when you have games where your net yards is negative, there's a problem there. There's a problem for the New York Jets. You know, I don't think Fields was ever the guy for Glenn, as much as Glenn says that Fields is his guy. Fields has a different style. He's a scrambler, and Glenn's system is really pocket based. And I think we're seeing those two kind of butt heads with each other, and that's what's leading to this offensive performance that has pretty much been the worst in the NFL, because you have two different systems. They don't mesh well together. It's not going to work. You're not going to get that production on the field. Garrett Wilson, has been frustrated, I think, since midseason last year. His stats have been nothing great. He hasn't really produced to the level he did his first 2 seasons in the league. And now that he's approaching a contract year, you're going to see those frustrations start to boil. And the Jets really need to stop this now. This is very similar to the 2023 Bears, same script, different city. But the scary part for the Jets isn't about injuries or bad luck. It's simply the structure of the team. You can replace the quarterback. You can't replace direction. The defense is playing playoff football. The offense is playing preseason football. Something's got to give for the Jets and Aaron Glenn. Whether Tyrod Taylor will be the answer or not, still haven't seen him score a touchdown, is yet to be seen. Two teams, 2 sides of the same city. The Giants are trying to learn how to win. The Jets are trying to remember how. Coming up next, we shift to the Garden, where the Knicks might actually be New York's most stable franchise. Never thought I'd say that. But first, a message from our great staff at WIUR. Iona's MSC department is hosting a Women in Sports panel today. So if you're listening to this show right now, take a break, pause it, come back, listen to it later. That is happening from 12:30 to 1:50. So if you're listening to the show, you've already missed the first 23 minutes of that panel. Head over to Henry Lecture Hall in La Penta School of Business. The panel features 5 talented individuals in the field of sports media, coming from brands such as CBS Sports, Lookalike Productions, and USTA. Come see and learn how women are shaping the sports media field and connect with professionals in the field on October 22nd from 12:30 to 1:50 in Henry Lecture Hall. We are back. You're tuned into Empire State of Sports live on WIUR from 12:30 to 1:30. I'm Landon Popovic. And after 2 decades of Knicks fans asking, when's our turn? They might finally have the roster that's one superstar away. Let's talk Giannis. Cat and a team that actually looks stable in New York. Or at least I thought until I heard Cat speak. Giannis Antetokounmpo. Sorry, I need some water. Has yet to reach an extension with Milwaukee. Doesn't look like that will facilitate itself. His family's living in Greece this season. And multiple reports have New York lurking in the woods. For the Knicks, this isn't just a dream scenario. It's a vision Leon Rose built, stack draft capital, accumulate flexible contracts, and wait for the next superstar ready to move. And Giannis, that's the one. On paper, Brunson and Giannis complement each other beautifully. Brunson averaged 28.7 points and 6.7 assists last season with 58% true shooting, while Giannis was 30.2, 11.6, and 64% at the rim. That's elite drive pressure on both ends of the half court. But the issue is the financial and structural problems there. To bring Giannis to the Garden, the Knicks would likely have to move one of OG, Cat, or Bridges, thinning out their depth. And that's what made them dangerous in last year's playoff run. So we're dealing with two different sides of the coin here. Let's break it down. So would Giannis make the Knicks better or just more star-driven and less balanced? Let's get into it. Knicks 2024 to 2025 offensive rating 116.88 in the NBA. So they had a top 10 offense last season. They had a defensive rating of 112.7, 11th according to Basketball Reference. Giannis would help boost both of these sides possibly into the top 5 in the league. Giannis usage rating 33.4%, Brunson 29.8%, both top 10 among guards and forwards. And the Knicks clutch win percentage last year, 667, tied 4th in NBA. Star power could even boost that efficiency, maybe to even 1st in the NBA. Well, you got to worry bringing a star in with the way things happened in Brooklyn a few years ago. Nets now in rebuild mode. The Knicks can't really afford something like that. So would bringing Giannis in hurt the team culture? Personally, I don't think so. But there's always that looming factor in the back of your head. But Giannis has a public commitment to winning. Saw him win a championship just a few years ago. That's someone we need here on the Knicks. Obviously, New York defined by winning and losing. You got to win here. Giannis would only help boost that winning culture. Overall, I think getting Giannis would be great. But according to Brian Windhurst on First Take, the Knicks were in position to get Giannis. They could have had Giannis under a certain set of circumstances. Not quite sure what that means, but I'm sure more news will come out in the next few days regarding that. I'm assuming they asked for a little bit too much from the Knicks standpoint. Probably revisit that as the season unfolds, maybe at the trade deadline. Karl Anthony Towns, the current Knicks center, trying to find his footing in the new system. Let's take a listen and see what he had to say.
Honestly, I don't know. But we figuring it out. I said, but honestly, I just don't know. It's different. So we still figuring it out.
So there's Giannis, or Cat, my apologies, on where he sees himself fitting into the Knicks' offensive scheme this year. That's not encouraging at all. You can't say you don't know where you fit in a system. That's like me being asked at work, hey, what you working on? I don't know. Just trying to figure it out. Are we serious? Cat, buddy, you had to have a better answer than that. After all that? No way. I don't know how much I could really hold this against Cat, but it was really just funny. Cat, shot 41% from deep on catch and shoots last year. That's an elite stretch 5 pacing. And when Brunson drives, Cat's ability to pull rim protectors could open entire lane. But the bigger question is, can he defend well enough to stay on the floor late? But is Cat's uncertainty a chemistry hiccup or an early sign of fit issues in the new system from Mike Brown? Cat 2024-2025, 19.8 points per game, 8.6 rebounds per game, 38.8 3-point percentage. He takes about 6 attempts a game. My biggest gripe on Cat last year was how he played in the defense. How he played in the postseason on defense. He stood back a lot. Yeah, he was hesitant to create pressure when opponents had breaks. And
unknown caller.
Of course, I get a call in the middle of all that while my phone is connected to the board. I apologize. Should have kept my phone on silent. Should have known better. But back to Cat. Knicks defensive rating with Cat at center is 110.4. It's good. It ranks about middle of the pack amongst centers. Opponent rim field goal percentage when Cat is primary defender, 61%. League average is 64. So sitting just about at league average. If I were Cat, how I would have answered that question is I see myself playing a bigger role on the defensive side. I really like the way I played offensively last year. Coach Mike Brown is helping me out, figure out how I could get more involved on the defensive side of the ball, and I'm excited to see how that goes this season. See, how hard was that, Cat? I didn't even have that written down. That was just off rip. My God. But sorry, I lost my spot. But Mike Brown has been emphasizing that defensive side of the ball. Only time will tell. They open their season tonight against the Cavs. Going to break that down in the second half hour. Well, if Giannis never comes and Cat stays steady, the Knicks floor is still higher than it's been in 20 years. They've got the structure. They've got the team identity now with Mike Brown. The East is wide open. Something the Giants and Jets wish they had. But the ice just broke at MSG, and it wasn't just the Rangers scoring. That's coming next. Here in the second half of Empire State of Sports, we've hit that point in the show where I break down what's coming up next. We've got Landon's Locks. We've got the Rangers. We've got the Knicks starting their season tonight. We've got a Yankees team that's looking to run it back next season. Let's start with that segment that everyone loves, Landon's Locks, where I either sound like a genius or you start tweeting clown emojis at me. 3 picks, 1 gut, and a whole lot of analytics behind them. Last week, not a great week for me. Not a great week for Landon's Locks after starting 2-1. We went 0-3. I had the Giants. I even had the Jets. I had the Rangers breaking out of their home funk. None of that happened. But this week's going to be different. I'm going 3-0 this week. Let's get into the picks. Let's start with the New York Giants rebounding this week against Philly. Here's the logic. The Giants have lost 3 games when leading at halftime, but they've covered the spread in 2 of their last 3 matchups against the Eagles. Jackson Dart, for all his rookie mistakes, has looked sharp early in games, and Philly's secondary is cooked. They've given up 258 passing yards per game and ranked 30th against play action, which happens to be Jackson Dart's bread and butter. So they match up perfectly against the Eagles. Give me the Giants in Philadelphia on Sunday. Next on the ice. Sorry, I messed up my tape order. Give me 1 second. Okay, so we are back. Sorry about that. Pick number 2, Rangers over San Jose. The Rangers finally snapped their home scoring drought after 9 scoreless periods. And that first goal by Panarin 57 seconds in felt like a spiritual reset for me watching this Rangers team. San Jose, they've allowed 4.1 goals per game and ranked dead last in penalty kill percentage. Even with New York's power play and still finding rhythm, this matchup screams get right game. Give me the Rangers against San Jose. Pick number 3, my third lock. Tonight, the Knicks open up their season against a formidable Cleveland Cavaliers team, but nothing is too much for my New York Knicks. MSG is going to be electric. Brunson looks locked in, and the Cavs still haven't solved their pacing problem this offseason. They play so slow, and the Knicks are going to punish that with an aggressive Karl Anthony Towns tonight. Last season, New York's bench outscored Cleveland's reserves by 68 points across the 5 games, across the 5-game series. Sorry, that was 2 years ago. That's depth domination. Going to be a huge factor as to why the Knicks pull out on top today. Give me the Knicks against the Cavs. So there is Landon's locks. We got the Knicks tonight. We got the Rangers tomorrow. And we have the Giants this Sunday. Sounds like a 3-0 week to me. An Empire State sweep. But let's circle back to hockey. Because for all the offensive struggles, the Rangers' underlying numbers tell a little bit of a different story. They're 3-4-1, but the team is top 10 in expected goals, share, and controlling shot quality. The difference, finishing and goaltending. They've allowed 6 goals in the final 5 minutes of periods. That is the most in the National Hockey League. You can't win like that, especially at home where they're 0-4. So when you look at their home stats, their home save percentage is .891. The NHL average is .907. That's not what you want to see from either Igor Shesterkin or Jonathan Quick. So that might be a reason the Rangers are struggling at home. They're not getting that production at goaltender. But the big story is the fact that the Rangers went 9 periods without scoring a goal. That's 3 straight games without scoring a goal at home. On 5v5s, the Rangers haven't been playing well. They're -3 gold field, and their GF percentage is 52.8%. On the power play, they're only successful 22% of the times. That is really bad, has been an issue for the Rangers the past few seasons, even before Mike Sullivan. But at least Artemi Panarin has been a bright spot. I feel like he's always a bright spot for this New York Rangers team. He has 9 points in 8 games played. Yes, the Rangers have had early goals, but early goals don't equal control for the Rangers. They've got to realize that, hey, yeah, we scored 57 seconds in with Artemi Panarin, but we ended up losing that game 4-1. We got to keep the pressure on. Got to keep the pressure on your opponent on the ice. You can't get laid back. Happened with the Giants against Denver. Happened now with the Rangers. I don't like what's going on with them. Let's take a little bit of a listen to what new Rangers head coach Mike Sullivan had to say on this.
All night. I mean, this wasn't nearly the game that we've been putting on the ice, game in and game out. And we knew we were going to play a team that was going to come in with urgency based on circumstance, and we didn't match the urgency. That was the challenge. Well, we scored early.
What's up with New York coaches having no accountability? Because I don't know what these answers are this week, what this sound is. It's gold for me, who gets to just rip into everyone that's speaking. But where's the confidence? Where's the confidence in this team? Yeah, we didn't play well. What was it? We got outplayed all night. So how are you going to fix that, Sullivan? Where's the encouragement for the fans that have been waiting for this team to break out? Where's the accountability on, yeah, probably had some lines out there that need to be tweaked. We're going to look into everything that's going wrong, especially at the Garden. And we're going to come out against San Jose our next game and have a different look to hopefully combat the struggles that we've been having. Man, they should really put me in these press conferences because I have these answers on lock. Moving on. Back to the Giants. Let's circle back a little bit. Jackson Dart, he's continuing to show flashes, making Giants fans believe they might finally have a quarterback worth building around. Numbers aren't perfect. 6 touchdowns, 7 picks. He's completing over 61% of passes and averaging nearly 60 rushing yards per game. That's a dual threat DNA. And after a disappointing loss, here is what Jackson Dart had to say.
My feet got a little stuck in the ground. I gotta be way better than that. I mean, that's just unacceptable. Yeah, I gotta be better.
Wow. Accountability. We did it. We got accountability. Jackson Dart, 2 years older than I am, 22 years old, giving a better answer than seasoned coaches Brian Daboll and Mike Sullivan. You know what? Throw Cat into the conversation. Giving a better answer than Cat. Dart, you saved me. Because I was starting to question if anyone in New York sports had accountability. But Jackson Dart does. That was all of the positivity I needed to get back around and be like, yeah, Jackson Dart got this. He's him. He's going to go out with a vengeance. He looked like Anakin Skywalker when he says to Obi-Wan, you betrayed me. When he told the team, let's go out and win this game. And then they pan back to him and he's on his knees. Looks like he just lost the Super Bowl. He's going to go out with a vengeance on Sunday. That Giants over Eagles pick is a lock of all locks. What stands out about Dart is this kid's command. The kid's adjusting projections, making slight reads, and not afraid to improvise. That's something he was known for at Ole Miss. We're seeing it firsthand as Giants fans. Yeah, it's reckless. Gruden says it's reckless. I don't like your play style. Cry about it. As my buddy Kevin Wildes would say, cry about it. Cry about it. Really, those are rare traits in a rookie. They should be fostered, not brought down. The turnovers, yeah, they'll come down with time. Look at Josh Allen, guy led the league in interceptions, turnovers, for years up until last year when he broke out of it and won the MVP. What matters is this leadership presence. I spoke on it. The only reason I don't want to get rid of Brian Daboll is because I think Daboll speaks with Jackson Dart in a way that not many can. He's developing him similar to how he developed Josh Allen up in Buffalo. Dart on the season since being named starter in game 3 or 4, game 3. He had 1,424 total yards, 6 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 61.3% completion percentage for a 79.4 rating. Rushing, he's averaging 58.2 rushing yards per game, 4.9 yards per carry, 3 rushing touchdowns. His pressure rate, he's getting pressured 33% of the time. That's the 6th highest in the NFL. Yet on target percentage, it's 74.6%, top 15. So under pressure, Jackson Dart is thriving. So I guess the recipe for the Giants to win is just play really good defenses, because that seems to be where Jackson Dart is feasting. Giants drives with Dart under center, averaging 1.8 points per drive, up from 1.4 last season. Yes, 1.4 last season, really low, up to 1.8. Still not high enough, but we're getting there. We're getting there. I like what I'm seeing from Dart. Across his first 7 starts, he's had really, really good stats, really good composure, like what I'm seeing. However, I don't like what I'm seeing on the other side of New York with the Jets, where their quarterback carousel spins faster than a Nathan's hot dog line. Justin Fields was benched mid-game in London, and Tyrod Taylor, the veteran backup, looked composed. He's a veteran. Sorry, I don't think the Jets played in London this past week. That was my mistake. Fields' regression has been glaring. The same footwork flaws, same late reads, same turnovers. You can't build continuity when you're burning down the house. Taylor won't save the season, but he might be able to save the culture there, might be able to save the locker room, give Glenn a little bit to work with. Fields, I mentioned a lot of his stats earlier on. 3 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 63.9 rating, 23 sacks. While Tyrod Taylor has been the best among active backups, 6 for 9 passing, 68 yards. It's the right move to go to Tyrod Taylor. Obviously Justin Fields you have some hope with, but Tyrod Taylor is going to be that holdover quarterback. He's a great transition quarterback, was a great transition quarterback for the Giants when Jones went down. That defense is still top 10 in pressure and yards allowed. So there is signs of hope for the Jets if they could just get that offense going. But how long can this locker room tolerate this offensive futility? I think only time will tell with that. We're already seeing some frustrations come to light, especially with Garrett Wilson. And Fields, 23 sacks, is the most by any QB in history with under 200 attempts. It was time to make a change. Aaron Glenn made the right decision. Still ahead, the Bronx, the Garden, and the team that keeps promising tomorrow but living in yesterday. The Yankees talk next on Empire State of Sports. Before we move on, one last ad read. Interested in having your voice heard, interested in hosting a show on WIUR like myself? Email our president, Robbie Basil, or come by the station and we will help you get started. Final stretch of Empire State of Sports. Let's swing into the Bronx, where Brian Cashman is betting on faith, familiarity, and Aaron Judge's bat to rewrite the story. Let's see what Cashman had to say on the 2025 season.
So after a season where you won 94 games but fell short in the division series round, how would you describe this season?
We've had success and failure. Obviously failed in our ultimate goal and had some success. Ultimately came out of proud of a lot of things we accomplished, and players were fighting. They were talented, they were fighting, they were committed. Every winter, and summer, so both opportunities for acquisitions to make adjustments for your team. You're trying to attack areas of weakness. But listen, like this division series, we got through the wild card matchup with Boston this postseason. Last year we got to the World Series. We get into the division series. You have to fire on all cylinders. That means you got to pitch to the best of your abilities consistently. You need it all at the same time. You need everybody from your rotation to your bullpen to your start position player group on the lineup side. To bring your A game.
I thought we had it with Dart. I thought we were back to accountability, but Brian Cashman just squandered any hope I had. Cashman defended the Yankees' approach this week, saying that the team is closer than people think, as well as what you just heard in that clip. Yeah. Close to winning the division, tied for first. Successful regular season, but that's not what this is about, Brian. How many times I got to tell you? What's the definition of insanity again? Doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. That is the New York Yankees since 2009. Yeah, I think we had a really good team on paper, but October, we need to play our best. Come on, Brian, you could do better than that. Say that, yeah, we had a great team on paper, but it's about improving that team now. Don't be like, yeah, we had a great team. We got to find a way to maintain that great team. No, we don't. We need to find a way to get better than that great team. We need to be elite. We need to be the best of the best. I just saw Dave Roberts on national television say that that we're going to ruin baseball. The Yankees have the opportunity to be the opposite of what they were in the 90s. They can save baseball from the Dodgers. Yes, the Yankees this season scored more runs than last season without Juan Soto. We're top 5 in OPS, top 10 in team batting average, top 5 in home runs. And Aaron Judge obviously had another MVP season for the Yankees, but this is a debate about continuity versus complacency. And right now, Brian Cashman's being complacent. He's being complacent with how the Yankees are doing. He goes, yeah, we didn't reach our ultimate goal, but overall, I liked what we saw. Things got to change. Whether it's getting rid of Aaron Boone, Hal Steinbrenner actually doing his part for this team. It's unbelievable to me that year in and year out, I have to listen to Brian Cashman have the same answer. That is the same exact answer the past 5 seasons. Go look at it. Go look at it. I might cut something up for next week of all of the same answers of Brian Cashman. Unbelievable. That being said, the World Series does start this Friday at 7 p.m. Live on Fox. Blue Jays taking on the Dodgers. I might owe the Blue Jays an apology next week. We'll see. I'm starting to come around on the Blue Jays. But my pick for the World Series, give me Toronto. I like what they do. I do. I don't want to dive too much into it because I have a lot planned for next week's show regarding Toronto and what I like from the Blue Jays. But I don't want to speak too soon because if they go out there and embarrass themselves, then that's going to be embarrassing for my take. Now, before we end the show tonight, or this afternoon, my apologies. Opening night against the Cavs, a rematch from the 2024 playoffs, right? 2024 playoffs. Knicks at home, 27-14 from 2024 to 2025. Cavs are the 5th best defensive team in the NBA, but the Knicks on second chance attempts, 17.33rd in the NBA. Key matchup, going to be how the Knicks are able to combat that defense. If Cat's going to be a demanding presence in the paint, if a lot of these defensive woes from last season have gone away now with a new system, Mitch and Hart are out tonight. I also heard something that Cat might be out, and with the way he was speaking, might as well bench him. So where does New York stand tonight? The Giants can't move the ball. The Giants can move the ball, but can't close out games. The Jets can defend, but can't score. The Rangers can create, but can't finish. The Yankees can pitch, but can't reinvent. And the Knicks finally might be the most stable franchise in town. That's the Empire State of Sports. I'm Landon Popovic. Thanks for listening to WIUR, the voice of Iona University. Same time, same place next week. I'm out.